Have you ever done any programming, Jonas? Although I suppose if you have, then I don't know if redstone. Oh, you have. I have a little bit. I'm not a big programmer. Like I've dabbled a little bit. Trying to make a scraper in Python. So what interests me is that you're okay with programming, but not with redstone. Maybe it's a different thing. I guess like this is more hardware. I guess it's more spatial, right? The redstone. Like the logic of it, I think you can probably figure out. Maybe it's just the layout. I got into it after I started playing Minecraft. Yeah, that's so cool. It's great how like Minecraft makes people like more interested in things like circuitry and programming. Slowly brainwashing our little children into becoming software engineers and hardware engineers. Jonah says, yeah, I mean time day is coding, right? It's a start. It's a start. I mean, when I was a little kid, I'm gonna show my age. I started using computers before Windows, and you just have to like use the command prompt. And so I got used to like reading through menus to learn like the syntax for the command prompts, which is kind of like the like these commands here, right? Like this stuff. Escape. So the command prompt introduced me to like giving instructions to computers, and then I moved on to basic, and that's my introduction to programming back when I was a little kid. But yeah, Jonas, and you're describing a similar thing with Minecraft. Is that, you know, when you look at like time set day in Minecraft, it's basically a command prompt, and you're getting used to the idea of typing instructions to a computer. And that's how you brainwash little children into becoming software engineers when they grow up. Jonas says, I was thinking of getting Linux to do that kinda. Yeah. Linux is pretty complicated when you first start off. Plus programming is being taught in schools now. Oh yeah, look, if you don't mind me asking, if you don't mind telling the internet, where do you go to school? Almost 23 UK, alright, that's cool. UK teaches programming in schools. So I'm in New Zealand. I don't know if they do it in New Zealand yet. I think they do now. Python. But once you learn one language, the other ones are fairly easy to pick up. It's just like different words and slightly different syntax. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. No, it should be 8, my bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, Python is a great starting language, easy to read and understand. That is completely true. Back when I was a little kid, we used BASIC, but BASIC has some what is now considered to be bad habits built into it. So people don't do that anymore. Jonas says, I'm learning C# basics, which is yeah, no, C C is so hard to read. I don't know if you feel the same way. Every time I look at C, I'm like, why don't they just use commands that are slightly more comprehensible at first glance? I understand that once you get used to it, it's really efficient. Like, it's really efficient when you know what it is, but to learn what it is, it's pretty obscure. C. It's actually funny, like how incomprehensible it is. But I guess you get used to it. If you spend enough time with it, eventually you get used to it. Can't wait for kids to grow up. Like today's kids to grow up just knowing how to program computers. It's gonna be so great. I grew up with the internet, and now that I'm kind of grown up, kids are learning programming as compulsory classes at school. I guess it takes like a generation for like cutting edge stuff to become compulsory education. Not a whole generation, I guess, but half a generation at least. Jonas says, what about AI that can code? That is going to be interesting, actually. AI. Because some of the websites, actually a lot of the websites these days are just computer generated, right? Used to be, if you like right click and you say, actually what is it? So websites, you go right click and then you go view page source, and then you can like look at the source. And used to be when you view the source, you could understand what the page was. But now that a lot of these websites are computer generated, like if you go to Google and you go view source, or you go to YouTube, it's just almost impossible to comprehend what is going on. Because the way the AI formats it is not designed for people to read it. And I guess they do it on purpose to make it so that you can't copy their websites easily. There was a time when I was younger when people would make websites by hand, like they just type the code by hand. Jonas says makes it hard to scrape just random characters. Yeah, that's right, Jonas. And I think they do it on purpose to make it harder for you to extract useful information out of their websites. And I can just imagine over time it's just going to become more and more incomprehensible to us as AI takes over more programming. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Do they do it deliberately to obfuscate the websites? Like, do they... Or like deliberately... People do that, right? Or like companies do that, right? They obfuscate their code on purpose. So they like change the variables to things that you don't understand. Jonas says, I would think Google would probably do that. Yeah, so they have their own internal code, and then after they finish with that, they deliberately obfuscate it to make everything less readable by humans. It's like they mess up all the spacing, change all the variables to random numbers and letters. I think this tree has to go. Yeah, let's just chop down this tree. I also haven't really kept up with HTML5 either. Although we're not seeing that many HTML5 websites yet. Or like advanced stuff. In fact, I mean, I've seen the like demo HTML5 stuff and it looks really amazing. Moving parts everywhere. But I haven't seen any like mainstream websites make much use of it. Except video. I guess video, they use it a lot now. Right, and then down here. How much time do I have? 6 more minutes. I'm not sure I will even get the gold down to the junction in 6 minutes. Probably not actually. Is it possible to make things like building apps more accessible, like maybe less code and more visual? Actually, the more I think about it, AI, having AI learn what you want it to do, and then the AI produces the code. Jonas is not really my area of knowledge. I'm just thinking. The thing is, there's no financial incentive. Jonas says, but I think you can do that. Yeah, like if I want to like make an app, can I do it without programming? Because to like these days, you can make websites without programming because there are services where everything is like drag and drop, and you just like get bits and pieces and assemble a website from partially from like pre-designed components. So there's website builders that allow you to do that. It doesn't seem that hard to jump from there to like an app builder that doesn't require very much programming, for example. Maybe it's more complicated than I'm imagining. Oh, one thing I've been thinking about for a long time is having like an HTML based RPG game where it's just all hyperlinks. It's an RPG or adventure game where it's just hyperlinks and you just click on links and go around. I'm not sure what you do about inventory, or if you have to do it without inventory. Maybe it has to be like a visual novel. Maybe RPG is too complicated. I think we should fill in the bottom of this. RPG would be hard, says Jonas. Maybe like a really simplified one. Not too many stats. Or like no stats somehow. Or maybe it can be a system where the stats are standardized and you can like write your own stories. Jonas says maybe you could have the user log in and save their stats somehow. The thing is, if there's too many stats, or like if there's too much logging in, maybe you can have like a copy and paste hash of your stats and then it just recalculates it. So you like your save file is just a jumble of letters that you copy somewhere else. And then when you continue, you copy that back in. I like the idea of like budget stuff. So I want to make it like as budget as possible. like a low tech games. Cause like old oh, time's up. I need to stop the stream and stop the videos. Alright, I'm gonna end the video here and end the stream pretty soon too. Jonas says definitely as low tech as possible games. Deliberately low tech. So the old Nintendo, or is it Super Nintendo, what, Mega Man games, it would give you like a grid of 16 numbers, and that was your save code, right? So you beat a boss, it gives you 16 numbers, and then you type those numbers back in, and it'll reload this game state for you. So like budget save systems like that, I'm thinking. Anyway, I'm gonna end the video here. Good having you here, Jonas. See you next week if you want to be around.